Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the Papo Carnotaurus, and you can see right there in front of you that they look a little different than each other, and that is not some kind of a trick I am playing on you guys. That is not a repaint or anything like that. These are actually both original, however they look quite different, and anybody that has purchased Papo figures in the past has probably noticed at some point, and if you haven't, then guess what? I'm here to let you in on it. Over time, the actual look of the figures tends to change a little bit. Now, I know that these figures are all hand-painted, so they can definitely look different, and will most likely always look a little different than each other. However, Papo tends to actually change the look to their figures over time. Even the coloration of the eyes sometimes gets changed, the mouth, everything. So you can see really looking right here that the actual look of the Papo Carnotaurus has changed again over time. I was recently at a place nearby that is a zoo for reptiles called Reptile Land, and I happened to take a look at the Carnotaurus that was right there on the shelf and thought, wow, that one really looks quite different than the Papo Carnotaurus that I personally owned from the original release. So I purchased it, brought it home, looked at the two together, and realized that they are quite different. So let's get a closer look at them. So looking at them from the standpoint of the actual detail, you can see that the detail on the Papo Carnotaurus is ridiculously nice. The sculpt and paint is really beautifully done. You can see that the scales are sculpted very nicely all over the place. The eyes are painted beautifully, no sloppiness whatsoever. The mouth looks pretty nice. It is articulated and can open pretty wide. You can see that there is a nice gloss on the inside of the mouth on this one, and this one is the original release that I had purchased right when this first came out because I was super excited, as I do love Papo and I also love Carnotaurus. But you can see that the horns up here on the top of the head are sculpted very nicely. Lots of little cracks and crevices throughout. It looks very good. The overall paint applied looks very realistic and very natural. The sculpting of the top of the head also looks very nice. As we come back the neck here, you can see that the sculpt work is very beautifully done as well. Those scales look fantastic everywhere you look. The paint overall was applied very nicely to this figure. It doesn't look bad at all. It's a very dull coloration, but it's a very nice coloration. I personally would have preferred a little bit of a difference in coloration, maybe a brighter look, maybe not so bright, but maybe again the reddish look. It's a little overdone at this point, as a lot of Carnotauruses always have that red look, but I really think it suits Carnotaurus really well. However, this does look very nice regardless. You can see that the sculpt work on the leg here is beautiful, fantastic muscle tone, and you can see just looking at the way the leg is positioned that you can kind of get an idea of the motion of the leg as it's moving, which is one thing that I think Papo always does really well. I love the way they do that, and it looks very real. You can also get a glimpse here of the hip bone at the top of the figure. Some beautiful calf muscles, and again, that detail is just insanely nice. And the paint is applied beautifully. There are all sorts of different tones throughout, and you can see that the claws in the hand are painted and sculpted very nicely, but you can also see and take notice that the claws in the hand are a blackish color, whereas the claws on the feet are a brownish color, so that's something you don't see very often, but it's very cool that they've done it that way. I think the claws on the feet look fantastic. They are painted really nice and have a beautiful gloss over top of them, really bringing the dinosaur to life. Taking a look at the rear leg here, you can also see beautiful paint applied, even the Dewclaws painted very nicely. And then you come up into the tail, and the tail has beautiful sculpt work the whole way out. It looks absolutely fantastic. Lots of little skin folds and incredibly sculpted scales cover the entire length of the tail, and it really looks nice. Taking a look at the opposing side here, again you can see that the paint is really nicely done all over the place and very realistically done. It looks beautiful. That arm is nice and small like it should be. It's in a very natural position, which is another thing that I like about this. Whereas the reborn Carnotaurus, you can move the arms to wherever you would like. This one is already in that perfect natural position for you. You can see that the side of the stomach is sculpted beautifully as well. Great skin folds, and the stretching of the skin as this rear leg is stretched back. that really looks fantastic. And you can see some hints of like a darker brown throughout the animal, but there are lots of different tones put into the actual paint job of the figure. Feet are sculpted and painted beautifully on this side as well. And then coming up here into the tail again, very, very nicely sculpted and painted. It looks fantastic. Now if you can take a minute and remember what that last one looked like, now let's take a look at this guy. And you can see probably a substantial difference in the way that the paint has been applied just to the face. The actual eye is a slightly different coloration than the eye on the other one was. The inside of the mouth for some reason no longer has a gloss. I don't know why. The teeth are painted significantly better, honestly, on this one than there was on the original. And you can see that, again, the eye is definitely a different coloration. It's a yellow, which the other one was, but I feel like this is a little bit of a darker yellow. And you can see, again, those teeth are much nicer looking. The entire head overall really kind of appears to have more of a difference in tones and coloration than the older version had, and this darker brown is really much more elaborated on the newer version than it is on mine, along with this greenish bluish type of a coloration that is all over the animal. It was definitely on the older one, but it wasn't near as elaborated, near as dark and really vibrant as this one is. There's also been a lot more of this brown that's added, and now you kind of have this dark brown, but you have a darker, almost like a burnt umber type of a paint that is over top of that darker brown. So it really, really looks cool the way they've applied it to this dinosaur. And even the toes on the feet are now a different coloration than the older one. The older ones were like a lighter brown, where these are a much darker brown. So even the coloration of the claws on the feet has changed. The claws on the hand still appear to be the same coloration, but the feet claws definitely have changed. And you can really see, just looking all over, that the paint is just significantly different than the older version. Just look at how much brown has been added to even the tail compared to what the original run looked like. No matter where you look at it, the paint is definitely significantly different compared to the previous version, and I really think it looks much better on the newer version than it did on the previous one. And now we'll take a look here at them together, and you can see, just looking at them, how different they are. The older one actually kind of gives off more of a greenish appearance, more so than the brownish appearance that this newer one has. And just looking at the heads, you can see how different the teeth look. Look at how nicely painted the teeth are on that one, and how poorly the teeth were actually painted on this one. And I can assure you that this is not a bootleg or anything like that. This is a Papo original that I had purchased quite a while ago. Even the coloration of the spines that run the length of the back has definitely changed and been turned into more of a brownish coloration as opposed to the lighter coloration that it used to be. So it is very, very strange that Papo does this from time to time. You can even see right here, looking at the tails, how different they look compared to each other. It is kind of cool that they do this, but at the same time it is pretty weird that they would just randomly change the coloration, really without even any type of a notice at all. But it gives you more of a collectability to the figures, and it kind of makes me want to buy numerous of each. I have noticed this in the past on others, like the Stegosaurus has had about 2 or 3 different variations of color so far. Regardless, it still impresses me when I can find 2 different Papo figures that are in fact the same thing but look so different. So you can quite obviously tell that there is a significant difference as far as coloration goes to both of these dinosaur figures. However, they are in fact the same dinosaur figure released by the same company, just at different time periods. So this is kind of something that I really wanted to bring to the attention of any of you collectors out there, in case you've never noticed it, as there are probably many different variants of Papo figures out there that you never knew existed, as they do tend to change the coloration from time to time. I don't know for sure if this has happened to every Papo figure, as I have not rebought or even seen a lot of the other ones in person from after purchasing them online. However, the ones that I have found, like this Carnotaurus, the Stegosaurus, and I believe the actual brown T-Rex ended up having a more reddish brown type of a variant, which I'm going to probably try to purchase very soon but you can definitely tell that there are some significant different variations of Papo dinosaurs over time. As far as the size goes, for the Carnotaurus, it is a smaller figure compared to a lot of Papos. It is only about 7 inches or about 18 centimeters long, and to the highest point, which would probably be the tail, you're looking at almost 4 inches or just under 10 centimeters high. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex. The T-Rex here definitely dwarfs the Carnotaurus in this instance. Now, as far as recommending you guys where you can purchase both variants of the Carnotaurus, I really don't know what to tell you, because honestly, I don't know what stock what store has or who is selling which version, as they are not an actual advertised difference in coloration. It's not like a very advertised repaint like some of the Papo T-Rexes have had with the rainbow type of a look or anything like that. This is just kind of an under-the-radar difference that these figures have had over time, so I really can't direct you anywhere to purchase them other than whatever website I can find that actually sells the Carnotaurus from Papo. So I will link you guys to everythingdinosaur.com if you just want to purchase one of these guys and you don't really care about the difference in coloration and collecting the different variations. It's a great website to get these guys from, but if you want to actually try to find the different variants, you're probably going to have to search eBay, as that's your best bet. Either way, happy hunting for these guys, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.